Did we ever decide if we had like a set intro that we were going to start doing?
No.
Other than I'm JT.
I'm Derek. D.
You going with Derek or you going with D?
D.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah, we're already fucking up.
That's all right. That's the best part about podcasts not being live is that you can go back and change shit. You can
Also,
edit.
The 0-person audience.
Yes, that too. This is pretty much just for us. And then if we say something embarrassing, blackmail for each other.
This is just here for the drops.
Just for the drops. So this is episode 4? Sure. I don't fucking know at this point. You know, if you go back and listen to the beginning of the RT podcast, it's very much follows a similar timeline of what we've done thus far.
Oh, yeah. Just
like they did one and then they did another one 6 months later and then did another one in like 3 months and then another one in 6 months and then like they started a regular cadence.
Yeah, now there's like 12.
Yeah, there's 12 of them. Although there's still like the RT podcast, but then they like did splinter shows.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's hope for us, is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
Although, when I found that one out, the timeline aligned, and that was like 6 months ago, so we may be past it now.
The darkest timeline.
We are in the darkest timeline. A lot of fucked up shit happening.
Yes.
So far, what's worse, 2016 or 2017?
Well, in 2016, we still had Obama, so...
Well, that's a benefit. That's definite. We'll put that in the plus column. But a lot of people died in 2016. A lot of famous people. That was kind of the overarching theme is 2016 sucks.
Yeah, and there were so many of them at the very end of the year.
Mm-hmm. I can't name a single one
Prince.
right now, but oh yeah, there
And,
you go.
you know,
Prince was
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher.
Prince might have died in 2015.
No, it was 2016, but it was like early. It was like April something.
Yeah.
Was it 2015? No, it was 2016. I can't remember if I was still working at my previous company or not.
I wish we knew.
I wish we knew. Like anyone can even know that. Oh. So what's going on, man?
Game of Thrones.
Just going right into the schedule?
Going right into it.
No small talk, no banter?
I'm not known for my small talk.
A man of business. So yeah, Game of Thrones. We are on the eve, not the eve, but the season ends on Sunday.
Shit got real.
Shit got real. I guess this is a spoiler notification for the one person that's going to listen to this. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones 6 months from now, then don't listen. But yeah, there was a lot of people complaining, not to start off with bad shit, because this season's been awesome, but I saw a lot of people complaining about the red shirt characters that they threw in.
You know, they could have just had the same actor do all 3 or 4 of the deaths, and I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were there, because I thought everybody that there was like a named important plotline, you know, character. And then people start dying. I'm like, who the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it doesn't matter.
It was terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, the only person that died that mattered was Thoros, and that was more of Thoros of Myr. Was it Thoros?
Yes.
Yeah, it was the drunk priest.
I felt like even that was anticlimactic, because, you know, he got bit up by the bear, but then they patched him up, and, you know, 10 minutes later, he bleeds out. Like, I feel like it would have been more of an impact if he'd have died on the spot from the bear.
Agreed. Like, they threw away that dramatic moment by, oh, he's okay. He can walk after getting mauled by a bear.
Yeah.
And we've seen a more realistic bear attack in The Revenant. Leo couldn't do shit. Not shit. But yeah, so they wasted that dramatic moment and then just kind of let him die when we were worried about everybody else dying.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, oh, at least it's just Thoros.
Yeah, and I don't know. You think they would have checked on him more often than, you know, the days or hours that passed by while they're sitting on that rock?
Yeah. Which that's another hot point of contention.
Yeah.
How long were they on the rock?
I think the directors acknowledged that they skimmed the line of plausibility on the timelines. But yeah, going back to the bear, one person pointed out it's kind of cool. You know, the person that ultimately kills the bear is Jorah. Yeah, and that's his like family crest. So
yeah, although
that's pretty cool.
a undead bear. It's kind of the living bear beating down the dead bear.
Yeah. Which, they caught it on fire, so they were doing their job.
Yeah.
But somehow Jorah killed it with daggers.
Yeah, to a well-placed dagger to the side of the head.
Yeah.
So a brain shot to an undead thing. I guess that follows with, like, zombie lore in that, you destroy the brain or remove the brain, the zombie dies.
Yeah.
Depending on which zombie, of course.
Yeah, but we've seen, in the earlier seasons, like when they first find that white in Castle Black, the hand's still alive. So,
which something I missed out on that is, so the hand was still alive, it was still moving, and they actually sent it to King's Landing, as proof that these things are real, and then it like rotted and wasn't anything by the time it got down there.
Yeah, which is like a pass by, glanced over a quote by Jorah or Mr. Mormont, I think.
Bear or the dad.
Yeah,
Gior Mormont, yep. I think is his Jorah and Gior, which, come on. What the fuck's his name? JR?
I mean, you know how many Rickards and Neds there are?
Well, this is Rick on. This is Dick on.
Yeah.
And then Dick off.
I don't think they're known for their originality.
No. And, the fucking dude, why can't I think of his name?
George?
Yeah, George R.R. He created a very, very vast universe with a lot of backstory, and there's a lot of body to it, and you kind of have to repeat some things. I mean, only one person really created this universe, which is pretty impressive, and probably explains why he hasn't gotten that book out.
It's all just a con.
It is a con.
I don't know. Half of me thinks it's a con. Most of me thinks he'll never finish it because he's rolling around in cash right now.
He doesn't have to do shit. Just teasers here and there. And really what he's going to do for the remainder of the book series has kind of been laid out for him now. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, all right, this is kind of what I want to do. So here's an outline. You guys go ahead and fill it in and do your story.
Yeah. Or, he's just, focus grouping it. Like, what did they like from the show? Mm-hmm. What didn't they like from the show past my books? Okay, they didn't like Dorne, so we'll, not fuck up Dorne this time.
Yeah. It's the largest focus group in history for writing.
And he's getting paid to do it.
He's getting paid. I wonder, let's consult Craig Miller's favorite website, Celebrity Net Worth.
Which I'm pretty sure he has stakes in because he references it every day.
The third search term was Craig Miller. George R.R. Martin. What do you think? Look away.
Yeah, I'll go 5.
5 million?
Yeah.
Oh fuck no. He's got to be worth way more than that. I was thinking like 100. Right.
Okay.
So you're going 5. I'm gonna go 100. Oh. Well. George
nothing there.
R. Martin. Where the? Oh, I didn't put the periods down. 65 million.
65. You were much closer.
Yes, but I still overshot it. 15 million a year is what he's making, is what this says.
When you look at it, though, that's so their typical budget on an episode is $10 million.
Yeah.
So he's barely getting the cost of
one episode.
Episode and a half.
Yeah. To touch on salaries, the ticket on my way home, I was listening to it. They were discussing the highest paid TV actors and what they were making like per episode or per year.
Oh, yeah.
And the main cast of Game of Thrones at this point, so like Lena Headey, whoever plays Jaime, he's got some like Nikolai something or other. Kit Harington, all those guys, like the main characters, the main plot characters, they're making $500,000 an episode.
Yeah,
which is low in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Especially considering Friends, like the kind of gold standard for high paid per episode characters, they were each making $1 million.
Yeah,
in like 99, 2000, whatever. And they were making 24 episodes, right? I think. So, I mean, that was $24 million a season, not counting everything else that they did off of that. These guys are making, I mean, for this season, it's $7, so they made $3.5 million.
Yep.
I'm sure they're probably making a little bit more in endorsements, and there's probably some back end, but their actual salary per episode, it seems low.
And if I'm not mistaken, that agreement, that contract, was just made recently. Like, they haven't always been paid there, so.
Which, I guess that kind of makes sense in the early days of the show, whenever you had, like, hundreds of characters and probably 24 plot important characters, and it's just now when everything's kind of coming to a head and focusing in that they can start paying him. But
either that or they were just killing off characters to save money. There's so many goddamn characters.
Here's a question. Whenever they were auditioning for parts and whenever they were signing up for the show, do you think they knew what sort of cultural phenomenon they were getting themselves into, and B, do you think they know which characters were more important whenever they were auditioning?
Not a chance.
None of them read the books. None of them read the fan sites, and I guess the theories and stuff probably weren't as well known at all because it was just a book series, not just TV.
Yep. Not a chance.
Not a chance. I mean, so Kit Harington just backed backwards his way into
the
role of a lifetime.
You've heard his story about the night before his audition, right? He got in a fight like the night before at a McDonald's, so he had a black eye for his audition. No shit. Yep.
I wonder if that helped give him like the brooding edge they were looking for.
Yep.
The kind of the bastard of Winterfell, the bad kid, the mutt.
He's got a chip on his shoulder.
He does. Although, should we start calling him by his name, Jon Targaryen?
Ooh, it's a big one.
Just saying, he's no Stark. He's no Snow.
That's also another plot point that annoys the shit out of me. They just have a wildling just pass over. God forbid she can read. Oh, hey, Rhaegar, this really important character, just happened to get an annulment on his marriage and get hitched to some other lady.
Which pieced together with other things that they've actually done in the show, which at this point you have to consider the show canon as opposed to the book canon. But all the pieces are there in the show for him to be about to fuck his aunt.
Yeah, but it's cool.
It's cool. They're Targaryens. They do that.
That shit happens.
And I think that's probably why the Jaime and Cersei, like, them fucking is coming back, like, on the show as a thing, is so it can soften the blow for whenever they're like, oh, you married your aunt, bro.
Got that straw man argument. Like, at least we're not brother and sister.
Exactly. That's probably what they're doing there. Yeah. But yeah, to circle back, the how casually that was dropped in there. And I was actually kind of impressed that, I don't know if I should use names or not, but the wife picked up on that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I paused it, looked at her, and I was like, hold up. And backed it up, and she's like, yeah, no, Jon Snow's a Targaryen for sure.
Yeah.
I was so proud of her in that moment. But I figured that, that's something that's been theorized and kind of in, the more nerdy side of the lore for a long time. And the fact that, again, not, that my wife picked up on that, which still sounds weird to say wife, without her, basically she gets her, like, nerdy stuff from my end, but she picked up on that. I was also very impressed, but also led me to question how many people actually got that.
Oh, yeah.
I know that you did, and a lot of the people that follow the show closely did, but anybody who's just kind of a casual GOT fan, if they picked up on it. Because that was a huge plot point.
And it's a lot to ask, because Rhaegar's, we've seen Aerys, we've seen, young Ned, we've seen Arthur Dayne. Rhaegar's really one of the only characters that we've never seen in the show.
You want to know my theory on why?
Why?
Because they're going to do a Robert's Rebellion after the show.
See, but they said that they're going to do a new series, but it won't involve any character that's in this universe, or not universe, in this story. So a lot of people think it's going to be the fall of Valyria.
Didn't they say they were going to do something on the Duncan Egg, which was a side story?
They did a book over it.
Yeah, they did a book, but I think they were talking about adapting that into a season or something.
I mean, that'd be cool.
But yeah, I mean, technically, Rhaegar's not in the show yet. You got a little gnat flying there.
Yep, good.
You just Miyagi'd that fucker. But yeah, they just kind of threw that one out there. I feel like the whole Sam and Gilly down with the Citadel could have been a lot more interesting. Other than you go down there, life sucks, and you have access to this wealth of knowledge that you're clearly one of the most deserving characters in the show to have access to. And then they have to, put in the plot struggle of you have to work your way up before you can get into the restricted section of the library. And then you get to the point where you realize that this is just as corrupt, and this is, or not corrupt, but this is the same level of politics
just
that exists.
Bureaucrat.
Yeah,
all the way.
And you realize that you steal the books and leave.
Yep.
I feel like if the show didn't get accelerated like it did, like if they had 2 more full seasons, they probably could have expanded Sam's time at the Citadel longer. Which I feel like they should have. I mean, I wanted to see more shit and bowls, and then some extremely disturbing, like, scab ripping.
Yeah, maybe not so much that, but it'd be kind of cool to see a little bit more of the scholar side of Westeros. Because that was pretty much the first time we saw it. And, library's cool. The whole setup is pretty neat. And then they just really glossed over how long he's been there.
Yep.
I don't know. Just I feel like they're spending all this time trying to get the White to show Cersei. I feel like they should have maybe taken it to Old Town, get the scholars on board. So maybe you have all these highly intelligent people trying to help you find some kind of resolution instead of a queen who has just this wrecked army.
Yeah, I mean, all she has is the Iron Throne, what's left of her army, and then the fear of like the people, and technically currently the ruler of Westeros.
Right.
Maybe it's because Old Town is about twice as far as King's Landing.
When has that been an issue this season?
Exactly. That is my big problem with this season. It feels so rushed, and I think maybe that's because we've been conditioned to everything takes forever in this show, because it took 6 seasons before a huge, like, the main plot point, like one of the first things you see is the Targaryens coming back to Westeros to like take it over.
Yeah.
And that was like episode 1 they were trying to do that, and so it took 6 years to get to that point. And now, like, everything is happening so fast. Everything moves at the speed of the plot is one of my favorite phrases that best describes how this season runs.
Right.
And we touched on it briefly, but the timeline of how long they were sitting on that fucking rock, like,
to the fastest raven ever.
Yeah, and how fast the dragons fly, because I think we need to start investing in dragon technology to replace airplanes.
Jesus.
They did the math. It was one of my favorite memes on Reddit. Oh, yeah. But they did the math, and they're like, the fastest bird on the planet flies
Swallows.
the African swallow, or whatever it was, flies at 50 miles an hour. And assuming, like, they went back and like pulled bits from the lore of the series of how far it is from where they think they were to the wall, and then from Eastwatch to Storm's End.
Yeah. Dragonstone.
Dragonstone. Yeah. Storm's End's different completely. Dragonstone. And then how fast the dragon would have to fly to keep them from freezing to death, not just the guy that was, injured from his wounds.
Also, the fact that Gendry had to run all that fucking way.
And it's the first time he's seen snow. Do you know how... I mean, I don't run very much, obviously, but I've definitely moved around. I've played hockey.
Yeah.
Whenever you're breathing in cold air, that sucks.
It's just a little painful the longer you go.
Yeah.
And, we don't know how long they were marching up north. We don't know how long he ran. So that just adds on more, supernatural birds flight.
Yeah.
Cancel that out.
And, if they're searching, they're walking versus running, they could probably... it depends on how long they were gone and all that other shit. But I thought they might have I mean, I think it would have wasted a character because Gendry is awesome. We just got him back, and he could have a big role to play depending on how things fold out. But it would be kind of cool if they used the parallel of the origins of the marathon with what happened there, where he like sprints and sprints and sprints and sprints to deliver a message and then dies.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of a cool parallel with ancient, was it Greek? It's Greek, right? Greek mythology. I don't remember the name of that fucking guy.
Yep. I'm
sure our listeners will be able to tell us when they tweet live at us.
When we Google it afterwards.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, everything's moving at the speed of the plot. And like Daenerys showing up and murking the...
Look at all my shit.
All the Lannister army, which was one of the coolest payoffs. I think that was the long-awaited payoff, was seeing the dragons actually fuck shit up.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people believe that maybe Bronn should have died there, and I think so too.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, we're conditioned to where we have all these really important characters, and many of them die in not so cool ways. Mm-hmm. So we're getting to the point where there's going to be a lot of loose ends, and it might be more impactful if we have people die that we care about. A lot of people thought that Tormund should have died this episode too. Mm-hmm. While I really like him, I hope I didn't want him to die, but I would have appreciated it a little bit more.
Yeah. Like the perfect ending for the story for Bronn would be to shoulder check Jaime in the water and get burned alive.
Yeah.
Because that would have
the first selfless thing he's done.
Yeah, exactly.
All series.
And then he gets out of the water and he's like, "Yeah, you're not fucking dying. You still owe me a castle."
Yeah.
Which is in line with what he does, or what his whole character motivation. But I still think that he has a part to play in that, like, he may help turn the tide of like the Lannisters from following Cersei. I mean, ultimately, the way Cersei dies is not Daenerys, it's not Tyrion, it's not Jon Snow. It's gonna be Jaime that kills her, if it ends in a positive note.
Yeah, we have to worry about Bronn still, though. I mean, she wasn't happy with arranging that meeting.
Yeah, he may have gotten fucked up from that. But I do agree with your point that there's going to be a lot of loose ends because we only have 8-ish hours, 8 episodes left at this point.
Yeah.
Although, didn't they say that the remaining episodes are all going to be 120 minutes?
I'm sure you're right.
After, I don't know what everything next season is supposed to be 2 hours long, basically, or an hour and a half, something like that. 80 minutes, an hour 20 is what I was thinking. But yeah, they don't have a whole lot of screen time left. Oh. And I hope we don't have to wait another year and a half for the next season.
I imagine not. I know one of the major reasons they waited was because they needed snow to make it winter. Mm-hmm. So hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But overall, feelings on the season?
I don't know. A lot of people don't like it because of the pacing, and I kind of agree. Mm-hmm. Add that with some of the strategies, like the going north of the wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like they're trying to play a little bit on cheap thrills, like the battle scene, which was still cool. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're pandering to their fan base a bit. They're paying off for all these years, but it does feel a little rushed. And by little, I mean a lot. Like, they're definitely... I don't know where the limitations came from. Maybe HBO was tired of funding it, or it's running its course. I don't know if the showrunners are ready to do something else, but it definitely feels like that 2 full seasons would have been much better than 15, 16 episodes.
See, I think it's just the fact that they ran out of subject material. You know, the books ended. The books ended, and then they had all this awesome writing, and now they're struggling to write their own pieces and continue it.
Yeah, so they have the outlines, they have the basic plot points that they can expand on, but they don't have the intricacies that came from the books.
Right, like, you know, you've got Cersei offering the Iron Bank all this money and all this slavery to give them, when, like, you think about it, Iron Bake was made, Bravos was made from free slaves.
Yeah.
And now they're all of a sudden into slavery and making money off of it. There's some things like that just don't make sense.
Yeah, they're moving away from the soul of the show, and just trying to pay off. And I feel like that is kind of like what made the show special, and was that it wasn't your typical like American entertainment at all. And they showed that basically, season 9 episode 10, whenever Ned lost his head, that like who you thought was the hero of the show is gonna die. Like that uniqueness is also one of the things that kind of, I mean, it to your point, it came from the writing. It came from George R. Martin's vision, and when they ran out of that, it seems like they're just paying off the fans of the series, which are American television, fans, viewers, and the payoff that they're going for is let's get all this done and like all this action, and let's get it done. Let's do these movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to make every episode like Hard Home or Battle of the Bastards, where they have these really cool, intricate battle shots, but they're all built up off of dumb plots and dumb ideas.
Agreed. Want to take a quick break?
Yes.
I need to grab another beer. All right.
Cool.
And we're back. Cool. So, any final thoughts on Game of Thrones?
Do you think that the Night King knew what was going on? Like, knew what was up beforehand?
That the whole reason why he was left alive is so he could draw in the dragons?
Yeah, like...
Or that... Sorry.
Well, we got a couple things. So, they killed that one White Walker,
mm-hmm.
and all the whites disappeared under it,
mm-hmm.
except for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just... I don't know. Everything looks like it was set up perfectly for the Night King to kill the dragon. He knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And he has to know, to some extent, the going-ons down south, I guess. I don't know how he would have spies or something like that, but...
Well, a lot of people think that he's a green seer, like Bronn and Three-Eyed Raven.
Yeah.
You okay?
I'm dying. We'll cut all that out.
Yep.
So go ahead and say it again.
Oh, no.
No, go ahead and say it again so I can cut out my coughing over it.
Okay. A lot of people think that the Night King is a green seer, like Bronn and the Three-Eyed Raven.
Okay.
So he can see things happening in real time and ahead of time. Much
like the vision in which Bran gets touched by the Night King.
Yep.
How he could actually see it. Yeah, I could see that. And if so, that would give him the knowledge that there's some big-ass dragons down south. And, yeah, I could definitely see that. Because otherwise, why wouldn't he use the spears to kill the people? And, yeah, that convenient little scouting party of one white and 12, white.
Right.
Whites, rights, whatever the hell they're called, and then one that's one of his.
And you could totally use that as an excuse for why they haven't been marching south the whole time. Mm. They've been waiting for those guys to go up to them.
Yeah.
Because that's been the biggest punchline of the season is, you have Euron and all these people going around the freaking continent 4 or 5 times, and it's taken the White Walkers this long to get to there.
Yeah.
Maybe they're probably waiting for them to come up to them.
Agreed. And that there's the one thing that has been confirmed is that there's some sort of magic in the wall that keeps them from crossing it. And there was a lot of theories that whenever Bran actually got through the wall, that it could
with the brand
could diminish or destroy the magic or what have you. But another theory that I saw recently is that they can't swim. And so the only ways to get around the wall, not over the wall. So magic protects the wall. You can't get around it because it's an ocean on one side and like a big-ass river on the other.
Right.
And so they were either waiting for the river or the ocean to freeze around the wall, or for a dragon to get over the wall. And either, here's a question, is it an ice dragon or a fire dragon?
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about that. If it's going to shoot ice shit or fire shit.
Which would be... So, here's tinfoil hat theory. So it shoots fire, and it is in a compromised state of some sort. It's being magically controlled by the Night King, who is a green seer. The dragon is fucking shit up, and then Bran wargs into the ice dragon,
assuming control,
and then just murks everybody. Murks the whole dead army. I don't know. I feel like them killing a dragon was their solution to an important character dying. Like, showing a vulnerability of Dany's, the dragons can be killed, which we almost lost a dragon in the season already with Bran and his ballista. Which, that was a very conflicted scene, by the way. I didn't know who I was rooting for.
Yeah.
Because, you've got Jaime and Bronn, who are, they're important characters, and Jaime is definitely the most likable Lannister at this point. Besides Tyrion, who Tyrion doesn't count because, whatever, he's essentially renounced himself. And then Bronn, who you care about. And then you've got, Lannister, the whole Ed Sheeran scene was giving a face to the Lannister army that these guys aren't evil. They're just people who signed up to try and, they're doing their duty. They're trying to earn a living. They all have families. They're all people. Like, that was the point of that scene. And so the Lannister army isn't evil, really. It's being controlled by the evil person. And you have Queen Daenerys just flying in, murking everybody. Yep. And so you're rooting for Daenerys because she's kind of one of the heroes at this point, although murky. Because she's roasting tens of thousands of men alive. So, I mean, who do you root for? Like, Jaime's charging in, about to kill Daenerys. You don't want him to die. You don't want Daenerys to die. You don't want the dragon to die. Like, who do you root for? And then Bronn kind of comes in with that C solution.
Resolves everything for him.
But yeah, I do agree with the theory. I think the Night King was definitely waiting. I don't think it's that the Whites can't swim, because that would be... I mean, they're undead. What's going to happen to them? Maybe they don't float.
We did see him in the water, though, and they're trying to drag Tormund down.
And they would have to go into the water to hook up the dragon with those very industrial chains.
They came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, that was another hotly contested point. I mean, those are...
chains.
Another... just kind of loose end. Okay. I mean, where do you get chains that would be used on a modern aircraft carrier?
Maybe that's where they were the whole time. They were at this factory just making those fucking chains.
Out of ice. Yeah. Predictions for the finale?
I don't know. Clegane Bowl?
You think? I mean, he is headed south with the White. And he could be their next episode, because
they're gonna be their next episode.
Definitely.
I feel like we probably see Sansa go down there too. Maybe. No,
because she sent Brienne down instead of her. I think the Sansa Arya thing comes to a head.
I think Arya knew all along what's going on. That's why she handed her the knife.
Yeah,
she was playing the truth game with Sansa.
Yeah, and that she's trying to double cross Littlefinger, and she knew that somehow Littlefinger would be listening to that discussion.
One can hope.
One can hope.
I like Arya, but she's already been the subject of one of probably the worst plot lines in Game of Thrones with the whole Terminator bit. If the with the Waith chasing after her, Bravos, stabbed in the gut. If this turns out to not be a ploy to kill Littlefinger, I'm over it.
Yeah, and since she's got back, like, I mean, we had the great payoff at the beginning of the season whenever
she just ends a house.
Yeah, she ends House Frey, which, I mean, the real payoff was the end of last season whenever she kills Walder after feeding him his sons. But then murks everybody. And then the line that I loved is, I want you to tell everyone that winter came for House Frey and the Starks remember.
Yeah.
That was really cool. That was real badass. Everything that's happened with Arya since hasn't felt great.
I think I really hope that it's going to build up to, I mean, ultimately, what's the reason that they haven't killed Littlefinger yet? He controls the veil.
Yeah.
So if you have Arya murk him, then she's got his face.
Ah.
And then you still got the veil.
And honestly, it would be... I mean, a Stark has to kill Littlefinger if he dies.
I think Sansa does. I think it's going to be Sansa.
Sansa that kills Littlefinger?
I think so.
I mean, and this is all assuming... And I think... So the overall end of the series has been described by George R. R. Martin as bittersweet, but an overall good ending. So you're going to lose characters. It's going to be like a melancholy kind of end. So with that in mind, I mean, we can't assume that all the good plot lines end well.
Right.
Littlefinger would be a good example of someone who plays enough of both sides to somehow survive. Although above anybody else that's left in the show, like, he's somebody that I want to die. And I feel like if the season is paying off the viewers' hopes and wants...
I mean, I feel like you have a really cool counter if this is the end of Littlefinger, because they warn Ned not to go south, and then he does and he dies. So you have Littlefinger going north, and he doesn't do well. I think he should die.
Yeah.
And we've seen, without trying to spoil it too much, we've seen in one of the previews where Sansa's giving the speech about splitting up the wolves.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna murk him.
I hope so. And that's, I mean, if this season is about a Stark reunion, Stark redemption, one of the things that has to happen is the revenge on the person that really tore apart the house.
Right. Which
is Littlefinger. Because beta-ass Littlefinger couldn't get the girl he wanted.
Right. Or his daughter. Or her daughter. And I think I feel like it's a cheap move, but I feel like that's what they did by reintroducing the dagger, is to try to remind all the viewers that, hey, you know, this dagger's what started all of this, and it's all Littlefinger's fault. So you should hate him. Yep.
That's another perfect example of subtle things coming up from previous seasons that suddenly have a huge importance in this season. I think that has to be Arya or Sansa killing Littlefinger. Which, by the way, Littlefinger isn't actually the warden of the Reach, or the
Vale.
The Vale, yeah, the Vale.
Correct.
The Reach is the castle, right? I think. No, the Eyrie. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's that little fucking kid, the little mouse
Robin.
boy. Yeah, sweet Robin, sweet baby Robin, who was still nursing at like 8. So at some point, the people from the Vale have got to get behind that dude, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Littlefinger threaten Jon Royce, so I feel like that would barely be an issue for him. I think he'd probably prefer that.
Did you do that on purpose?
Sure did.
Yeah. We're gonna have a bit of that while this is going on. We touched on. I like how they just kind of ended. I mean, the way that they're ending plot lines basically is they're ending houses.
Yeah. Because
you had the end of the Sand Snakes, you had the end of Dorne, you had the end of the Martells. Which, by the way, that was a fucked up way to do it. How Cersei is torturing and killing the last living Martell. By slowly poisoning her daughter and then chaining her up to watch her corpse rot.
See, and I thought they were leaving room for maybe Bronn to go in and kind of pick her up, since you know, he's
kind of
be
soft
in that
on
area,
there.
and he likes her, and he's not getting his castle anytime soon. So,
that is true. That is one thing that is very, very true. If you don't see them die, they didn't die.
Stannis,
except for Stannis. Apparently, Stannis the Manus is definitely dead. Although he earned it. I bet we see him come back as a white.
It's possible.
If he comes back, he's going to be the Lady Stoneheart of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we didn't see them die, but I feel like that was a bow on it. I love the way that the Tyrells went out. That was good.
It's disappointing because they kind of build up throughout the series on, you know, the Tyrells. They're not a powerhouse, but their army always comes in and does work. Like they save Blackwater, or they win the Battle of the Blackwater, and for them just to get wiped out in like 30 seconds, it's just, I don't know. It was a kick.
Yeah, definitely surprising to see how like little resistance they put up, especially when they had a castle, and the Lannisters just won that. I mean, that's definitely just tying up the house, though. That's pretty much all they're doing there. Which they did kind of touch on it before they turned Dick on into Dick off. He would have been the regent to Highgarden,
right?
And would have led that region. So now that's two regions that have no rulers now.
And I mean, we kind of had that with the Tullys too. The Blackfish was really. I mean, we have Edmure somewhere,
and the Freys were the Riverlands. It was the warden of the Riverlands, whatever the fuck you call that. But they're gone now too. So you've got 3 of the kingdoms without rulers.
Yep.
And where have the Greyjoys been? Where's Euron been? He fucked up.
Seen him in a while. He fucked shit up for the first 2 episodes,
and then he's gone. So he's definitely coming back. Yeah. This episode, something's gonna happen there. Which I liked his character a lot, and then after he captured Yara, and fucked all that, then he's just kind of been, all right, we're not worried about you right now.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was kind of weird that they've really dedicated the last 2 episodes to Daenerys and the Starks.
Right.
Which is really, I mean, where the story is going. And I went back, I was drunk, and I watched the first episode. And I mean, the first season of the show, or the first scene of the series, is White Walkers killing Night's Watch.
Right.
And so that's, I mean, the story starts with what's happening at the Wall now, which I think is, they're kind of, everything else has been ancillary to lead to, I mean, it's really the story of the living versus the dead.
Yeah, and I think recently George said that pretty much everything that's been written, the whole series, is built around one union, or one person meaning another, with it being Jon and
Daenerys,
Dany. So based on what he's saying, this is all just a build up to how they got where they were when they met.
Yeah.
So it's a better version of How I Met Your Mother.
A Song of Ice and Fire, which is that's Jon Snow and Dany Targaryen, which I thought that was kind of funny because everyone in RL refers to Daenerys as Dany, and no one in the show does except for her brother and now Jon Snow, which that felt kind of weird.
I feel like there's like a lot of little quiet jokes that are just nods to the memers.
Like, I thought you'd still be rowing. I spit my beer out when I heard that one. Oh, that was great. That was definitely a nod to the community and the subreddits and people on Twitter, and the social aspect of the show was everyone was like, where the fuck's Gendry? He's still out there rowing somewhere.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
That, or you had Sam talking to the Maester, talking about what he's going to name his title of his book. Mm-hmm. He's reading the autobiography or the biography of the region, and he calls it some bland name. He's like, well, it could have something more poetic. Song of Ice and Fire.
Like a Song of Ice and Fire. That was definitely a nod to George there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm real excited though. The more I talk about it, I'm upset about the pacing, which that is the only thing that I complain about. And so essentially it's complaining about not having enough of the thing that we enjoy, and I'm going to go ahead and say love.
Yeah.
Which is a complaint that, a lot of people have. You never have enough of the things that you love.
Plus, like, I feel like Game of Thrones got into a really good flow to where, there's 10 episodes. Usually the big stuff happens on episode 8.
Yeah.
And then we're dealing with the fallout for the last 2. Mm. So that just goes into all the kind of flow and harmony that we had with the show. Which is
out the window.
Yep.
I mean, you had the first season of the series, right, was Arya nuking Frey's.
Yep.
So it was. I mean, that's the other thing that, like, the series that I'm gonna have to go back and watch this season again, to get a second pass through, because you get excited about all the big things that are happening, and to give it another look, to see how I feel about the series, or the season overall. But I mean, I've really been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun to watch. There's complaints, and people are always going to find something to bitch about. But overall, I mean, this has definitely been a great experience, and a cultural phenomenon. Don't you chew on that wire, Kiki. You're going to fuck shit up and get electrocuted. No. Did you see his new collar?
Yes.
Little bastard. But yeah. It's a good season. I can't wait for Sunday. Maybe we should. I mean, we talked about doing it for the whole season, but maybe we should get together, get a watch party for the.
It's the finale, man.
Yeah. Hey,
do it.
I'm allowing you up here. Don't be a dick. I think we should.
Okay.
Be it here or be it at Brian's. Although we're gonna have the draft beforehand, like the day before.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. We'll figure that one out. Speaking of football,
Dallas Cowboys.
I don't know. Did you have anything to touch back on the? No. All right. Then a perfect segue into your Dallas Cowboys, which I don't know what happened to it, but I had a Cowboys hat, and it's gone. I don't know where it is.
Wasn't me.
I know it wasn't
this time.
Although we do have a long history of taking hats from one another.
I do have your Rangers hat.
And I had your Quicksilver beanie for nigh on a year.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it? Yeah, it was Quicksilver.
Yep.
Where's the visor beanie gone? Like, in general,
I miss it.
I miss the visor beanie.
It's so comfortable.
They're just perfect, and then there's a little bit of a lip, keep the sun out.
Yep.
Or the snow off your face, or whatever.
Perfect for paintball.
They're perfect for everything. We should bring the visor beanie back. We should power rank hats, top 5, bottom 5 at some point.
Let's do
it. But your Dallas Cowboys are about. There's 2 more preseason games.
1 more.
Is it just 1 more?
We did the Hall of Fame game, so we have 1 more.
Okay, and then we have a preseason bye on the last week.
I think it's. I don't know. That's how little I care about preseason.
We have 2 preseason games left because we have our openers against the Giants.
We always do the Governor's Cup against the Texans.
Yeah. Oh, so they got a thing.
Yeah.
They got a thing they're calling it. So I actually have not watched a single second of preseason football. I have the first 2 games I didn't have internet.
Oh, that's right.
Or cable to watch them, and then so all I know is what I've been gathering from the ticket and from sports media. But where do you want to start? It's been an exciting off season.
I mean, there's not been a whole lot besides the obvious with Zeke. But really, the whole preseason right now has been around the backup quarterback situation and how shitty Kellen Moore is.
Uh-huh.
He's just bad.
So we had last year, which ended up being the best quarterback year that we've had as far as having a solid starter and a solid backup.
I think she knocked on the door.
Oh. Small break. And we're back.
Okay. Oh. Might as well do it too. Kitty knows this fresh beer.
That fresh beer, though. But the we went from last year where we randomed into like the best backup quarterback we've had since Tony Romo, basically.
Right.
To this year, we no longer have Tony Romo, and we're back to where we were, where we have a good quarterback and then garbage behind him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dak. It's weird. So we got stupid lucky in that the Cowboys spent the last 5 years trying to make a team that fits Tony's window of being, and Jason's.
Yeah.
And now we're all having to take a step back. Like, holy shit, we have this really good offense. And,
yeah.
It sucks that Tony's gone, but we lucked out completely that we had this backup quarterback that ends up being fucking awesome.
Yeah. So this isn't really a jinx because every football fan thinks that their team's going to win a Super Bowl. But if, not guaranteeing anything, whatever, not trying to jinx anything, but if the Cowboys get to a point where they're looking at a Super Bowl, do you think they sign Tony?
I doubt it.
You don't think so? Not going to give him
so
he's going to be the Dan Marino?
Yeah, probably.
That sucks too.
I don't even know. I mean, I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no way he goes in.
No,
that guy has
not without a ring.
Too many critics, and yeah, no ring. Eli's probably going to get in there.
Yeah, dumb-faced fucking Eli Manning, whose teams carried him, and he was a bus driver that made
one
few
of the
enough
best
mistakes
plays in the Super Bowl history.
Yeah. Which, I mean, those are the plays that Romo made. It's just he didn't have the team around him to get him to the point that he could use those plays when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean,
and the thing that really killed Romo and his legacy is the first year that like he had a good team, everything was working great, and had a chance, and he, for whatever fucking reason, was a place kick or the placeholder.
Yeah, it totally. Whatever. I mean, it's probably that play's gonna just haunt my dreams for the rest of my life.
It really is.
I know that it's hurting him so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Romo has always been just this stupid strawman argument for people that don't actually follow Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like, he just throws all these picks and so go Romo. Like, they didn't watch him when he had broken down Flozell Adams and Doug Free guarding him. Like, yeah, Doug Free turned out to be an okay player, but we had nobody in that line for almost a decade.
Yeah, and your best offensive weapons are, Jason Witten.
Jason Witten, obviously.
Obviously, he's been a cornerstone of the Cowboys offense for the last 12 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
A long ass time. Yeah. And then you had Terrell Owens, who was a great athlete, not a great teammate. And
you only had him for a very limited time.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're throwing to fucking Patrick Creighton.
Terrence Williams.
Shit. He had... And, yeah, Flozell was in the twilight of his career, but he's still a good player. You had Gerard, who was a good center for a while. You had Colombo, which was okay. But other than that,
garbage
he was
line.
Running for his life. But still, you'll talk to, Strahan, Justin Tuck, all these, NFC East defensemen. And
Hall of Fame NFC East defensemen.
That just tell you, how hard Tony was to play against, because he had that little root, and he's gone. And you would twirl. Anyways, I just feel like
we could do a whole podcast on how unfair everybody's been to Tony Romo, and how unfair just life and fortune was. And it's kind of that shit line that he was behind that really led to the problems that took him out of the game.
He's
early.
The gluten-free of the NFL.
All right, expand.
That's it.
He's a fad?
No, you got all these people that all of a sudden, gluten-free is bad, because I see it just echo chamber. Tony Romo's bad.
You're saying gluten's bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
How that's just suddenly a subject that all of a sudden I can't have gluten.
Suddenly gluten makes your dick fall off?
Yeah, does everything.
Yeah. Which in reality, gluten's just a symptom of the thing that's really bad for you, which is eating a fuck ton of carbs. But yeah, do you think there's some parallels between Brendan Morrow and Tony Romo? And that, Brendan Morrow started with a team that was good, which is not a parallel. But, the team won a cup whenever he was technically part of a team because he got drafted, but he was not part of it. And then he spent the rest of his career chasing that and never made it.
I would say that Brendan still has a leg up because he made a play in the playoffs. The play in the playoffs, and you don't really get that with Tony.
That's still one of my top 10. I mean, it is one of the top 10 stars moments of all time. But I remember specifically us with that dog pile in the corner of the house. That was a great moment for Stars fans. Yeah, and Tony never had that in the playoffs. He had that. Right. He had great moments in the regular season, and you can talk to Goose about the one football game that I remember him watching, and it was Tony Romo threw 5 picks and then scored 6 touchdowns or whatever in the end to win the damn game. I think it was a Monday night game against the Giants, but I mean, he was a Jedi. He was our leader. He got a raw deal. He didn't get a raw deal. Dude still got, excuse me, one of the most successful careers as a quarterback in the NFL. He made an ass ton of money, and he's going to parlay that into an ass ton more money as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
As long as people can get past the fact that he's Tony Romo and get off his back for never winning the big one. Are you surprised that he went broadcaster instead of coach?
No, just because of how I feel like Tony Romo critics would say that he did really well in commercials and advertising. He has a good personality. I made crownies.
Yeah, I could see that.
I am really amused by the whole Jay Cutler business, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
How much money did he get?
Shit, I don't know. It was a pretty good check. That's a whole other subject, but hey, I'm retiring. I'm being a broadcaster, and that's what we worried about Tony doing. And
yeah,
Jay Cutler's just like, see you.
I will do whatever. But yeah, I guess players turn coach. You need a less polarizing, less figurehead type player. Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, who's a coach that had a successful playing career?
I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure people would make fun of us for not knowing.
All right. So we're gonna throw out the Dan Carlin. We're not historians.
Oh yeah.
We're fans of football. we're not professional fans.
Well, shit. Isn't you've got several player GMs right now.
Yeah. Elway.
John Lynch.
Yep.
I can't really think of off.
And many coaches. More.
Yeah.
We're going to tie it off like a 6th grade research paper.
Yeah. I mean, you always kind of thought that of Peyton, so it's surprising he hasn't done anything. You kind of saw that with Troy, and that didn't do anything either.
I don't know if Troy had the mental capacity to be a coach. Dude had quite a few concussions.
Shit. That's pretty much any quarterback of that era.
Yeah. Before they started getting all nancy and protecting the quarterbacks.
Yeah. How dare you want to have a life?
I guess I need to say that like Ed Carter. Back when we had real men behind the line. Not these pussy-ass fucking pansies like Tony Romo. Although, I mean, Tony Romo was a warrior back there. Not to cut it off, but I really think we could do an entire podcast about Tony Romo and how he got a raw deal. But for the remainder of the Cowboys, who are still there, what do you think about the Zeke suspension?
I feel like he kept giving them fuel to the fire.
He definitely took a Ricky Jarrett approach.
I mean, if it just, he almost needs a life coach like Josh Hamilton had.
Yep.
Like, the investigation, there's no telling, the metadata. They probably had something, whatever. They took over a year to do the investigation, so we should have known if they're going to spend that much time on it, that something was going to come out of it.
That there was something there.
And they say that, all the other incidents didn't have anything to do with it, but there's no fucking way. Like, come on, dude. You're under investigation. You know that your livelihood's at stake. You don't go out. I mean, there's a difference between going to a bar and going to a nightclub. And even if you didn't punch the other dude, like, season's about to start and you're putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah. Which seems to be a recurring theme with professional sports athletes in general.
Right.
Specifically basketball and football, not because of racial reasons, but because of the lifestyles that come from being a professional football player or professional basketball player.
Plus, like in baseball, you just don't have fucking time.
Yeah, you have zero time. And the limelight's on you. People know who you are when you walk in. I guarantee you most people don't recognize 90% of the baseball players out there, and probably don't recognize 98% of the hockey players out there.
Caveat: did you know that when the Bruins were in the Stanley Cup, the Bruins went so far as to have somebody standing outside of Tyler Seguin's room to make sure he didn't go out and party?
That's awesome. He was still 19, or was he 21?
He was pretty young. I don't know.
He was very young when that was happening. But yeah, I mean that's as an organization, whenever you have a player that likes to do those things, like, you almost have to martial law their ass.
And that's what the issue that we're getting with all these stupid suspensions and all the, you call it what you will, but though there's the infractions themselves. They're getting all the failed drug tests, but then you get Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones just stating, we have programs in place and we're doing, like, obviously the programs aren't in place if you're losing half of your defensive line to drugs every fucking season.
That's lip service for the NFL. Like, that's them saying that they're doing something. But I mean, this is something. I mean, that's something that the Cowboys are known for. I mean, since the 90s. I mean, they probably weren't known for it back during America's Team era with Roger the Dodger, fucking Captain America. But
the Jerry Jones era.
Yeah, absolutely. The Jerry Jones era. He has a lot of leeway, and there's a reason why players like Jerry Jones, and it's because he doesn't have that, that hammer fist to keep them in check, and he goes after players that are good talent, but are risky. Like, that's why I'm really surprised that the AP thing didn't happen, and that Ray Rice didn't happen.
That fucking Johnny Football didn't happen.
Oh my God! Could you imagine Johnny Football, the next quarterback of your Dallas Stars? Wow, Cowboys.
We can just thank Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones, we appreciate you.
Do you think he, like, held a gun to his dad's head and said, like...
The story is he held the phone down while Jerry was trying to pick it up and make call.
Yeah. And that being said, like... Johnny Football could have been helped. Like, he was a great talent, and I feel like the media pressure, everything got to him. Like... There's got to be a way to get through to these kids as they're coming out of the college leagues or, the developmental leagues. Like, don't do this shit.
I mean, they try that. There's the NFL rookie camp now. Like, they go over that kind of stuff. They also go over finances. We tell the 30 for 30 about being broke. Like,
yeah. That's a big touch.
Like the NFL's trying, but...
You know what they need to do? Instead of, like, a seminar... And this could tie into something else that they're having a problem with, because they've got a pension program for retired players that didn't make all that much, and then you've got all the problems with the retired NFL players that have concussion issues and, they can't find jobs and shit like that. Have them do what veterans do to kids coming out of war. Like, have the NFL veterans sit down with these kids and, like, partner up, do a big brother, big sister type thing, where you just have an NFL player that's with you, that has been through it, has made the mistakes, and is sitting there with you like, look, dude, I get it. You want to be balling. You want to have this fly-ass house. You want that Ferrari. Don't do that. Yeah. And I know that the club, and that weed, and you want to pull these titties out on a parade. Don't do that. Instead of having, like, somebody that's like a teacher, that's like, like a counselor from Last Chance U. Yeah. That's literally just the same people that have been saying this shit to them all the time. Like, put somebody who's been through it in front of them. And not just in front of them for a rookie camp seminar, but teams should hire back their old players.
Yeah.
And, Flozell Adams, come back here. Nate Newton, instead of being like some sort of sideline reporter, we'll give you $100,000 a year. You sit outside of Zeke's door and be like, hey, you know what? I was with Emmett. I know exactly what you're going through. Just this sudden celebrity and everything that's happening. But here's what he did. And here's what you need to do.
And it's not even a sunk cost. Like, however much you pay them, as long as you save one suspension, you make your money back.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
I mean, like, that's something that hockey does well. Most of, not here in the USA, but in college, when they go to the juniors, they're in billet families.
Yep.
And then when they go to the pros, like we see it on, 24/7, a lot of the rookies live with pro players.
Yeah.
Like, they have a room dedicated to the rookies coming in and live with them, seeing how they operate on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's just a culture change maybe we need to do here in the U.S. with the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And NBA too.
Absolutely.
But that's definitely been a pain point for the Cowboys, especially this offseason and in off seasons in the past. There's a line there, right? Because you can't control what somebody does 100%, because they're still a free-willed human. They still get to make their own decisions. They're not a slave. Not to make a parallel there, but they have the choice. They can do what they want to do, and the only thing you can tell them. And this is where Jerry Jones fails, and where a lot of NFL players and a lot of owners fail, is if you don't do these things, you're no longer a part of my franchise. And that's because there's so much money to be made from the player actually being there, despite the negative media attention and despite the suspensions and despite everything. They're still making billions.
I mean, shit. Arizona released, what's his name? Josh... I should know it. The receiver, Brown, Josh Brown,
Gordon.
No,
Brown. We'll go with Brown.
And then he's immediately they canned him because he got a DWI, and he immediately gets picked up by the Patriots like seconds after his release. Like, so, it's almost like, yeah, you can try to be hard on him and teach him a lesson, but then the next franchise is going to get him on the cheap. He's going to be playing against you next week.
And you know what? You can't have like any sort of coordination between the franchises to not pick up players that have had disciplinary issues,
right?
Without public pressure to not support them. And you know what? That's the one thing that Matty Bo has high opinions of what's happening in the future of the NFL and how it's a dying league and all these things because of various reasons. As long as it's still making money, ain't nothing going to change. So all these problems with concussions, all these problems with off-the-field problems.
I mean, it's the biggest corporation money-wise in the world. Like, it's the brand, the NFL.
Yep.
And they care about their brand.
Uh-huh.
So you're not going to beat them.
They care about their brand, but there's not enough public pressure that, like, if Ray Rice punches his wife out, there's still a good chunk of the population that is saying, hey, all right.
Yep.
As long as he gets that touchdown on Sunday. And until that changes, then, yes, as you're saying, NFL cares about its brand, but they care about the money. And as long as the brand isn't being tarnished that much, who knows?
That being said, weed should not be a year suspension. I feel like enough states have passed it to where they should think about getting rid of it as a bannable substance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's just
Congress would never let that happen.
I mean, I don't know. They've already admitted that they're going to look into it as a pain reducer because the pain relief that you potentially get from THC is objectively less harmful than all these kids that are getting hooked on painkillers and pain medicine.
Yep. And they touch on that in the HBO original series Ballers. But on a serious note, yeah, there's I mean, it's objectively proven in medical journals that there is medicinal benefits to marijuana. There's medicinal benefits to THC. And it's less addictive. There's less harmful side effects. Why wouldn't they? And it's because of the whole prohibition thing with marijuana in general, which is bullshit, and that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, but I don't think, because Congress has, the federal government has a lot of sway over what happens in the professional sports leagues. I mean, you saw that with the steroid inquisitions in baseball, whenever you had the oversight.
See, but there's precedence for the government being involved with baseball, because ultimately the government had to get involved with baseball back in the day because they basically had a monopoly over players.
Yeah.
To where if you wanted to go to another team or if you wanted to shop yourself for free agency, it wasn't happening because there's
collusion between the...
Yeah, exactly. So that's why with baseball, it's always going to be the government's stake because they have such a foundation of power within it.
There's precedent for them to interfere.
With football, we don't really get that.
Yeah.
I mean...
But the thing that I was getting at is that marijuana, THC, is still federally prohibited, which, whether it should be or not, they're not going to let the NFL, which is kind of a role model to a lot of kids, say that, well, THC is okay.
We'll see.
Agree to disagree? Is that what you're getting at?
I think it'll happen.
You think so?
I think so.
Eventually, I agree. In the next couple of years, I don't think so.
I'd say within the next 20.
20?
Maybe 10.
I'll go with 20.
Okay.
I'll go with 20. Although I think that marijuana will be decriminalized in 20 years, which makes it kind of a moot point whether they let it happen or not. But yeah, I mean, if they let players smoke marijuana, does that solve a lot of the off-the-field issues?
I mean...
Because a lot of stupid shit that happens because of other substances. And if they're just getting baked at home...
Yeah, I mean, my issue is it's illegal. Okay. How is that a performance enhancing drug? Like, what is it doing to make them better? It's not.
It's not. All it is keeping them off of opioids and, in my opinion, out of trouble.
It's protecting their liver. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, objectively, from a performance standpoint, I don't see where it's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, predictions on the Cowboys season. What are you going to do?
Let's pull up the schedule.
Schedule? All right.
So, our first game is Sunday, September the 10th with the Giants, yeah?
Yeah.
So, you just want to go down the line?
Yeah.
Say whether we won or lose?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the first one.
The Giants. I think opening against the Giants at Jerry World, no Zeke. I think we lose that game.
Okay. I think we got them.
You calling W?
Yeah. How about the Broncos?
That's your go. At Mile High?
They got Trevor Siemian, who I think he's got... That defense is really good, though. I think we lose that one.
I'm going to go loss as well.
Okay. Cardinals
is who's at quarterback for them? Is it still
Carson?
Yeah. They still got Fitzy.
Barely.
I mean, old ass Fitzy. Hey, and Anquan Bolden?
No.
No? What about that running back?
Bolden retired.
It's that high...
David Johnson, I think. Yeah.
He was the guy that was crazy last year in fantasy, right?
Yeah, like that double threat with the receptions and running.
I think we have the Cardinals, so I'm going to go W.
I think that their defense is pretty good, so I'm going to go with a loss.
So you're win, loss, loss. I'm loss, loss, win.
Yeah.
We're starting out 1-2.
Yeah.
All right. Rams. The greatest show on turf, Sunday at noon.
They're not the greatest show on turf anymore because they're not in St. Louis.
Oh, motherfucker, you're right. That's the L.A. Rams.
Yeah.
I just see that fucking... I can't believe they didn't change the logo. Here's a problem I have. If you changed cities, you should have to change your team.
You saw what happened with the team overall?
Yeah.
That's fair. I was going to say, you saw what happened with the Chargers, right? They did the logo that was in L.A., but it was lightning bolts, but it looked a lot like the Dodgers. And they got a lot of pushback. It was like, that girl you go on a date with, and all of a sudden she wants to move in with you.
Yeah.
There are people making those kind of jokes.
Yeah.
So then they backtracked, and they said, we're in the works.
In the works on what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Versus the Rams, I'm going to go W.
And this is a tough one because the Rams' defense is really good, but they still have fuck all for a quarterback. I think I go with the W2.
All right, Packers.
Shit, we lose this one.
At Lambeau? No, that's here. I bet we get the... I got a W there.
You got... We're going to break the cycle for once, yeah?
Yep.
All right. 49ers.
At 49ers.
Yeah.
3:05 game. Long travel time. Same loss.
Loss? I think we got the Niners. And now we get in some more NFC play.
Yeah, we got the Redskins. More like Deadskins.
Kirk Cousins playing for the money again.
I'm saying we win.
Yeah. I think we got them too.
Chiefs?
Chiefs, man, it's another hard team. And have a rookie quarterback if he starts. They've got an awesome running game. Tyreek Hill is really awesome. I think we got them. I think we'll take the Chiefs.
Chiefs. I'm going to go with the W as well.
Okay. Falcons.
Matty Ice.
Julio.
Roddy White. They're... don't they have a 1-2 punch still at running back?
They got Devontae Freeman.
I'm saying it's a loss.
Yeah. I mean, they did go to the Super Bowl. Man, it's tough. I think Matt Ryan's a lot better than people... I mean, if there's a quarterback that's the embodiment of Tony Romo playing in the league right now, I think it's probably him. I give us a W. I think we probably edge him out a little bit.
All right, we're going to take a brief break because we do not have the whole schedule here.
We're not.
I'm going to bring it up. Not break. We're going to take a pause. There we go.
Okay, cool.
I think we win the bye week, by the way. If you want to count that as a W.
Yeah, shit. Okay.
That was after the Packers.
We could get a suspension during the bye week.
We could. That actually should factor in on the Redskins game.
With Zeke?
Yeah, with Zeke. So Falcons, you have me down on the loss, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the last one we had.
All right. I think we smoked the Eagles because fuck the Eagles.
Okay. I think we end up splitting with the Eagles. So I think we're going to have more trouble with them because I feel like Zeke will be really into good shape by the end of the season. So I think we'll lose this one.
All right. The Los Angeles Chargers, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the first season that they're LA Chargers, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have the LA Chargers and the LA Rams. And then is it next year that we're gonna have the
Vegas
Raiders?
I think it's 2 years. I might
Is it 2 years?
Yeah.
2018 season.
Yeah.
All right, Chargers. I think that's gonna be at home. That's gonna be a loss. I think we lose that one.
Okay. I think we got the Chargers. I'm feeling good about the Chargers. All right, we got the Redskins again. I don't know, man. There's something about no matter how good our team is and how bad the Redskins are, we always drop to their level.
Yeah. Is that Sunday?
That's going to be the night game.
Yeah, Sunday primetime.
Man, we're terrible at night games.
That's what I'm thinking.
One thing we need to point out, though, is that we're probably going to have a lot more night games because it happened last year. So we got 2 already.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Week 1 and week 3.
I still think we're the better team than the Redskins, so I'm going with the win.
I'm gonna follow your lead on that one. I'm gonna go with a win as well.
Okay.
Giants. We're gonna loss. We're gonna split. That's a win.
Keep in mind, Odell got hurt last night.
Did he?
He did.
Son of a bitch. That may change it. The last year as the Oakland Raiders, at the Oakland Raiders, night game.
Man.
Oh, did you get your?
Oh yeah.
I bet they got us on that one. I'm gonna go loss.
Man, if there's another team I could choose besides the Cowboys, the Raiders really look good. Every facet of it. I think we lose that one too.
All right, and then we have the Seahawks.
Fuck the Seahawks.
Going W?
Yeah.
And fuck the Eagles. We're going to smash them for the last game of the season.
You got the Seahawks too?
Yeah, win-win. No. We're going to lose the last game of the season. We're going to lose against the Eagles.
We're going to lose against the Eagles? You guys beating the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got us going 9-7.
I got us 10-6.
Lock that in. You gonna put some money on it?
Put a bottle of scotch on it.
I'll do a bottle of scotch.
All right.
Off-camera handshake.
What are we doing? Over, under? Closest?
We should do closest because there's no way for us to tie.
Right.
And either they win more than I predicted or they lose more than you predicted.
You know, there are ties, though.
Oh. If there's a ties, we donate $100 to charity.
Okay. All right. I'm cool with that.
All right. So that puts us at about 2 hours touching two topics. Do we want to go on and wrap that up?
Yes.
I want to do we can do another podcast after this one.
Okay.
There's a couple other things that I want to touch on. One that is kind of related to this one, but we'll go ahead and sign this one off, and then we'll do another one.
Cool.
So, that's been Game of Thrones and Cowboys, the two most important things in September. I'm JT.
D.
Thank you for listening. Catch you next time.